Hello, welcome to the very first episode of Kaffee+Kuchen Catchup, a chat about life in Germany, living abroad, writing, freelancing, and the things that are getting us through life. I'm Rachel Loxton, a Scottish journalist, writer / doing creative stuff kind of person, living in Berlin, and I'm really happy to introduce you to my former colleague and wonderful writer and all-round creative person friend, Sarah Magill. Sarah, hello.
Hi Rachel, thank you for that lovely introduction.
Of course. How are you today?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm really happy to be here with you. It's been a long time since we sat in front of a microphone together, and it's great to be back with you.
Yeah, that's so true. So me and Sarah, we go way back, and we met when we were working at the local Germany, and we did the Germany in Focus podcast together.
Fun times in the booth.
Yeah, it was really fun. So as I mentioned, we are two writers from the UK living in Berlin, and we had the idea to create a casual chat that feels like we're having a little Kaffee and Kuchen break or coffee and cake with you. And by the way, this is also the idea behind my Substack newsletter, Kaffee und Kuchen, where I write about living abroad, creativity, career topics, and other things that I'm curious about. Today, we're going to talk about a few Germany talking points, like why everyone is going on about the image of cities. We're going to talk about Berlin's club scene. We'll update you on what it's like being a writer and freelancer in Germany, like what's going on with us. We'll chat a bit about the late autumn vibe in Berlin, and we'll end with a couple of recommendations. I should also add, we are recording in the Reflektor Neukölln headquarters in Berlin. Sarah, do you want to tell us about Reflektor?
So Reflektor Neukölln is a Verein or an association. Quite a few of these phenomena in Berlin. It's popular to be a member of a Verein. I'm a member along with between 20 and 25 other people. And we use this space for exhibitions, concerts, now podcasts, for all kinds of things. I will tell you a bit more about it later, but I think it's nice to record the first podcast here.
Absolutely. I love it. I've been doing a few things with Reflektor that you've invited me to, Sarah, and it's really been so nice to be here. Okay, shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
Right. So why is one word, Stadtbild, being talked about across German politics and society right now? Well, it comes down to comments made by the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz. He is the leader of the conservative CDU. That is the party of former Chancellor Angela Merkel, who I feel like everyone around the world knows her, right?
Definitely, yeah. Mutti.
Exactly, but maybe people don't know Merz so well. So what he did, he essentially said that Germany had been tightening its migration policy, and this is one of the ways the CDU is trying to win back voters from the far-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD. And he said, and I paraphrase, that there were still problems with the Stadtbild, the look of cities, and that's why the government is working to carry out many more deportations. So this created quite an uproar because he didn't specify what he meant, but everyone took it to be a wee bit racist and kind of like a suggestion that diversity in cities is a problem. Sarah, did you hear about this?
Yeah, I did hear about it. I'm definitely not as deep in the topic as you are, because I know you're writing a lot for the news about German news at the moment. But yeah, I did hear about it, and I have to say it didn't really surprise me. It's not the first time that Merz has made what I do think are racist comments, essentially. I remember about a year ago I saw a video circulating about him categorizing different types of immigrants, like for some people of certain origin are better workers than others, and but the fact that it doesn't surprise me doesn't make it any less bad. I think it's very disturbing the direction that politics is going in Germany, and it's like also reminds me of what's happening in the UK at the moment with the Labour Party, which is supposedly more of a left-wing party, which is adopting the rhetoric on certain issues from the far right to try to, I guess, win votes from the far right, which is a very dangerous tactic.
Absolutely. And yeah, as you said, I have been writing quite a lot about this, and it really has become just a huge topic in Germany. It's even, threatening to break the coalition government, which is made up of the CDU and the Social Democrats, because many of the Social Democrats are coming out and saying, this is problematic. And for me as well, it's always this weird thing that we see in the places like the UK as well, this idea that there are good foreigners and there are bad foreigners. And I really hate it because it creates a toxic atmosphere, and the reality is that you can't split foreigners up like that, because there's no, you can't like categorize people, because when you see people walking in the street, you have no idea where they come from. You can't judge people, and the problem is it does create a situation where people do get judged, and that people who are non-white especially are treated worse. And I wish that politicians were doing a better job of not spreading this toxic hate and encouraging racism, essentially.
Sadly, I think that we are slipping more and more into this world where these kind of statements are becoming more acceptable. Okay, there's been a big backlash, but the more outrageous things are said, eventually the more people get used to it.
Yeah, and also what's going on in the US right now under the Trump administration with the mass deportations, and we won't get into all of that. This is too big a subject, but it's terrible. And also so many American citizens are getting caught up in it as well. So that's a problem. It's like a slippery slope. And also, not to mention the problem just with doing mass deportations in the first place, but the idea that the German Chancellor would kind of pander to that far right narrative and touch on that is concerning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's clearly got the election. There's some upcoming, I think, 5 state elections coming up at the beginning of next year, where the AfD are in a good position to make gains there, and that I think that's clearly the motivation behind it. But it's not an excuse.
Yeah, and the other thing was when Merz was asked to kind of clarify his comments. I mean, this has been going on for a few weeks now. Would you believe it? Yeah. It's just carrying on. But when he was asked by a reporter to clarify his comments, he said something along the lines of "ask your daughters," so kind of inferring that women feel unsafe because of migrants or foreigners, like they feel threatened. When they're walking around cities in Germany. And yeah, again, this has created a massive uproar and outrage among many women. There's been like an open letter from high profile women to Merz who they have said yes, there are reasons that many women and others feel unsafe in German cities, especially at nighttime, for example. But this is nothing to do with race and nationality. It's mainly to do with violence among men, caused by men. And they're kind of saying why not put forward some proper solutions instead of provoking racism or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing, of course, that this debate is bringing up and that people are saying is there are lots of problems in German cities, and we live in Berlin. You see people openly taking drugs in train stations, for example. There is so much homelessness. I don't know. What do you think, Sarah? And this is nothing to do with the race of people and nationality. These are just problems that are in cities.
I feel like the homelessness problem has definitely been getting worse over the last 5 years, and I don't associate it with immigrants at all. I just think, how can a society let people get to such a level of desolation? Like, actually, the U-Bahn station just down the road from here is every time I get off there, there's like at least 2 people smoking crack openly on the station, and I just think, how is this possible? How is this able to happen? And it's never crossed my mind, oh, these are immigrants. I think this is a societal problem, and how have these people been allowed to fall out of the system?
Yeah, completely. I also see that as well in lots of stations, or even just walking up, for example, Hermannstrasse and things. You see just some visible mental health problems as well. Really, I do feel like it's getting worse. I just kind of wish, like, yeah, politicians put forward real solutions and put forward positive, interesting solutions, not this scapegoating migrants nonsense.
Yeah, it's just a dog whistle distraction.
Another story that broke recently is that the legendary queer nightclub Schwutz in Berlin is closing down due to financial difficulties. So they did a big fundraising drive. They are earlier, late summer, I think it was, to avoid this, but they announced recently that it's going to close on the 1st of November. Sarah, how do you feel about this?
I have to say, I feel sad that I never went to Schwutz. I'm so... Oh, man, I haven't done enough clubbing in Berlin, but I saw the campaign in the summer and I intended to go there, and then something came up and I didn't, and now it's closing, and I feel like this might be the story for other places as well that I haven't been to, and because I feel like it's not the only place that's struggling at the moment. There's also been this new motorway that's been sort of highly contested that should go through the Friedrich area of the city, and clubs have been under threat from that. I also, it makes me wonder, I don't know, I'm not well informed on the subject, why is this sort of like, there seems to be a wave of these difficulties at the moment, and part of me wonders if, like Schwutz, I think it was founded in the 90s, and I think when Berlin was this big underground scene in the 90s, when these people, whoever, like the management, took over these spaces, whether these people are now struggling 30 years later, if they still have the will and the sort of freedom, the same vision that they had then, and maybe thinking like, I don't even want to like manage this club anymore. It's
so true that the scene has changed so much since the 90s. Not that we were around then.
No,
in
definitely.
Berlin. But yeah, I wonder how it's changed, and also, I guess, are the habits different as well? Because I have heard, and I have no scientific evidence of this, but apparently Gen Z goes out less. They're not drinking as much. They're not partying as much. So that might add to it.
Good for them. But I think I have to say, I'm not such a big clubber, but when I do go, I think that tickets price, it's way more expensive to go into clubs now, and I think that puts people off. Like, I have to say, I think, Berlin has this reputation of like, oh, it's really difficult to get into this club and that club. But I feel like that's starting to slip away now because clubs are desperate for people's cash. So it could be an interesting, the time of the exclusivity of certain clubs might be slipping away as well. But I definitely think we could be on a turning point where Berlin, the city, the club scene really starts to change dramatically.
Yeah, and it's even an intangible cultural heritage, the club scene, it's so important to the city. But yeah, I agree that it's definitely changing quite a lot. So maybe now is the time, or not, maybe not quite yet, but soon might be the time to try Berghain, because they want you.
Definitely. I think now is the time to get, if you've not been clubbing in Berlin, now is the time to go before they all close down.
Sarah, have you had a great experience at one Berlin club, or a Berlin club, that you can share with us?
That I can share, maybe not, but yeah, I think I'm more of a, I think I'm not such a techno fan, let's put it that way. So it's hard for me to find music that I want to dance to all night. Kaffee+ is a place that I've had some good nights at, but there's still a lot of places. I've never been to Sisyphus, I've never been to Berghain. I'm not really the right person to talk about like the clubbing highlights. But what about you? Have you been any clubs you like in Berlin?
I think I've been to Kaffee+, actually. I didn't like it that much, but I feel like I just wasn't in the mood to go out. I feel like when you go out in Berlin, you just have to really be in the mood, and you will have a great time if you're up for it. But if you're not in the mood, it's like, they go on for a long time. There are a lot of people on drugs and stuff like that, which is fine, but you really have to. And techno is obviously very hard. That is the music you're most likely to hear. It's a different vibe, and I'm also not a big clubber. I've had a couple of good nights out at Sisyphus. I went, because it's good for clubbing in the daytime in the summer. I went there once, and I've been to a couple, I can't think of them, but yeah, I'm not big. I prefer maybe like a rock and roll bar.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I like melodic music. I like melodic music. Let's say I like rap music, or like rock, or somewhere where I can have a dance. But yeah, I think sometimes techno, and also the lack of drug. Like, I think I do feel like sometimes you're missing out if you're not on something in these clubs. We sound like a pair of old fuddy-duddies.
Oh my God, we
do.
No, I'm telling you, I am.
Me too.
I'm old. Anyway, so we should try and plan a night out at some point.
We should, yeah.
Okay, shall we move on and talk about our writing freelancing life in Germany?
Yeah, sure. What's going on with you at the moment?
Well, so anyone who's listening who's read my newsletter, and Sarah, you obviously know, I began freelancing at the start of August, and it's going okay so far. I will say that I like, in ways, the freelance pace of life. Like being able to at times set my own schedule and things like that. I've been learning so much because I'm doing some journalism shifts. So there's I still, doing some journalism, but I'm also doing quite a bit of content editing, strategy, writing, SEO type stuff.
That's a lot. It sounds like you're doing a hell of a lot.
Yeah, the way you were looking at me there.
It's like, oh my God, all of this, it sounds like you're busy.
Yes, I am actually busy, and that's a bit of a stress as well, balancing everything, talking to all these different people, and it's a little bit hard. But I feel like what I'm doing at the moment is trying to, get all around, dip my toe in, try some different things, and then what I'm hoping to is, get the clients that want me to stick around, and maybe I can make some kind of relationship not that we're getting married or anything, but some kind of contract with them. But on the other hand of it, German bureaucracy, no, it's not an underestimation. I can't think of the right word, but I'm not lying when I say it is so hard. It's really hard to get your head around, and Sarah, because I've talked to you about the KSK, which is the Künstler Sozialkasse. It's a cooperative for freelance creatives in Germany, and it helps pay for things with your health insurance. It subsidizes it a little bit. But they're really hard to get into, and I'm having a lot of stress with that.
Yeah, you're definitely not the only one. I think everybody I know who's in that KSK has had stress with them at some point. I also myself, I got a letter from them last week, 5-page long, difficult to understand German. I speak German quite well, I think, but the language that's used in these letters is really perplexing. And I just didn't know what the hell I was supposed to do. So I spent half an hour on a queue on the phone, which, to be fair, I think was actually pretty short time from what I've heard from other people, to ask. And then the one of the women that I spoke to just spoke to me like I was an absolute idiot for not understanding. And I actually said, look, I'm sorry if I sound stupid, but I just don't understand anyway. But once that was you just have some of these things you just have to deal with, but when it takes up a lot of time, it can be very frustrating. But apart from the KSK, I'm also busy at the moment. I have one client that I write for, that's my main client at the moment. But on my creative side of things, I'm writing a book. It's becoming a novel about Berlin, about 3 characters in Berlin, and I'm very excited about that. I'm hoping to try and get it out sometime next year.
Amazing. Sorry, I just want to say well done. That sounds so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about it. And then on other things, I'm also dipping my toe into other things. Like, for example, I organised the exhibition for the first time. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a member of this art association, Reflector, and we do exhibitions. And I got to know an artist during a project earlier in the year, and she does some very nice work with like found objects. She finds things around the city, like cables and parts of bikes, and then puts them together with oil and charcoal on canvas. And she's also a writer, so we invited her here to do an exhibition, and I kind of organised it, and that was really nice. And then this evening we're doing a small writing workshop together here, so I'm really enjoying, like, it's great having this space to experiment with these things that I've not really done before. And it's also keeping me like in contact with people, because writing can be very lonely. Like when you're a writer, you do spend a lot of the time on your own at home with a laptop, and I think it's so important I have to kind of force myself to organise these kind of social things, because otherwise I would become a bit of a recluse.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You also freelancing as well. Sometimes because you're not in part of one workplace, you're sometimes just spending a lot of time alone. And yeah, it's amazing because you invited me to the exhibition. Is the artist called Sarah Reichelt, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a lovely exhibition, and it was last Friday that I came to it, and it was great because I was saying I was really stressed, but I was writing about taxes all day for content for a client, and your head is just mush at that point. And so I was actually really glad that you invited me out, and I got to meet a few people, and I was like, and it was like a really cold day in Berlin, a cold evening, but I was like, oh, I really needed that.
Yeah, no, it was nice that you came, and it was like, yeah, it's and speaking of cold evenings in Berlin, we are now in the depth of autumn. There's no denying anymore. How are you enjoying the Berlin, the change of season?
Mate, it's so true. I honestly, those clocks went back, and I swear to God, we were just put into the middle of winter. It felt like January. But I mean, like the worst part of January, when there's just no light.
Yeah, it's been a pretty bad week for weather so far. Like, I was out and about yesterday and I got absolutely drenched, and it's been like there's been a lot of wind. It's been the sudden descent of winter almost. But I have to say, I enjoyed that extra hour in bed on Sunday. I really, really enjoyed that.
Me too. Oh my God. I thought the same thing. I really was like, I'm so happy to have this extra hour. But yeah, I feel like today we're lucky because we've seen some sun, some blue sky, which in Berlin over winter, sometimes you don't see the sun or blue sky for weeks on end.
Yeah, that's true. And when the sun does come out, it can be really beautiful in autumn. But I love the colours. Berlin is a very green place. I mean, there's a lot of trees in Berlin, and it's beautiful at this time of year. So yeah, when it's not raining and grey, then it can also be very nice. And I have to say, I think this is actually my favourite time of year. I do like autumn. I like to be cosy. I always kind of get this productive energy. Somehow I feel like I'm charged after the summer, and I feel like it's probably my most productive season. And I love Christmas as well, so I always like the kind of countdown to Christmas. So I have to say I'm kind of in my element at this time of year.
I think I do probably prefer spring, not gonna lie, but I do know what you mean. I think that the run up to Christmas is always really nice, and I think it was just a shock of how dark it was, but yeah. I think now once we get into it, it'll be quite nice. And then the real terrible time will come in January to March.
I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be making sure I get away. After, like, last year was the first year after saying for 9 years I have to get away from Berlin in January, and I did in January last year, and I'm going to be repeating it again because it's so miserable. January, February in Berlin is miserable.
Okay, Sarah, we're on to our last little part of our mini podcast. What is your recommendation?
I don't know if anybody has ever read the Northern Lights series or heard of the Northern Lights series. There was a trilogy of books, children's books, written about 30 years. I think they came out about 30 years ago. And now the author, Philip Pullman, has written a follow-on trilogy set like 12 years, about 12 years later, when the protagonist, this girl called Lyra, is now like 20 years old, and she's like going through all kinds of different struggles. And it's so now the final book of the final trilogy has just come out, and I'm listening to it. I got it as an audiobook, and I'm just like listening to it all the time. And I have to say, it's really, I'm drifting away into this fantasy world a lot, and I really, really recommend it. It's called The Rose Field, but I just recommend the whole Northern Lights and the Book of Dust, Secret Commonwealth Book of Dust series. It's really great. If you like fantasy, it's really, and it's not just, it's also, there are a lot of parallels to the current world. It's not just about one girl's adventure. It's about also the whole, religion and power, and it's really great.
Sounds amazing. I think it was turned into a film.
I think there was a TV series, yeah, but I've not seen it. And what about you, Rachel? What's your recommendation?
Okay, so as we were talking about, I have been doing a lot of journalism work at the moment. And I talked to the director of the Museum Wiesbaden the other day.
The Museum Wiesbaden?
Yes, it's a museum. It's an art museum. And so basically, there is a painting in this museum. It's by Friedrich is the artist. He's an Art Nouveau kind of guy. I don't know much about art, so this is why I'm telling you about it. And the painting is called Ophelia, and all the Taylor Swift fans are going to see this painting because in the video to the Taylor Swift song The Fate of Ophelia, this is off her new album, she has like acted out this this painting. So she's like in the
Is this
video.
the woman in the lake when she's lying in the river? Okay, I know that.
Yes.
I remember. I didn't know that was it here in Berlin.
No, in Wiesbaden.
In Wiesbaden.
It's so you have to go to the state of Hesse and check out this painting. So this lovely museum director, Dr. Andreas Henning, he was just telling me about this. The Swifties are going to see this painting. They're leaving friendship bracelets in front of the painting, but he said they're being very respectful. And they are just loving it because they're getting all these fans.
I bet they are.
Yeah, they're getting hundreds of visitors. And by the way, Swifties, they range from young to people in their 90s, he was telling me. So I love how Taylor Swift is sparking a German art revival.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a great little nugget of news.
Yeah, actually, this story broke on German media a few weeks ago, but I just wanted to interview the director and ask him. So my recommendation is the Museum Wiesbaden. Go down there. And also Taylor Swift's new album. I do love it. It's called The Life of a Showgirl. It's really good. And then my very last recommendation is the show The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I finished last night and I was crying because it's so beautiful. Okay, so before, have you seen it?
No.
So it's kind of this teen drama, essentially about a love triangle between this girl called Isabel Belli and two guys, two brothers. I won't spoil it for you, but what I will say that I found the last series really beautiful because this character Belli, she's in Paris and she's about 21, I think, in the show, 22, and it's so sweet that she goes to Paris and she's trying to get away from the stuff that's happening at home in the US where she's from. She's trying to learn the language. She's working under the table, trying to like cleaning toilets and all this stuff. And it just I thought like, oh my God, it's so beautiful, this moving, when you move abroad, especially if you're lucky enough to get to do it when you're younger. I didn't actually do it when I was younger. I moved to Berlin when I was 30, so I didn't have quite the same experience. But I thought, man, all young people should be able to do that. And in the show, you see her, she's struggling a lot. She's struggling with her problems, and then also she's trying to adapt to this new city. But then you see that, after a few months, she's settled in. She can order her wine and food perfectly, and she's made friends. And I just thought that's more people should move abroad.
That sounds really nice, but it sounds not as superficial as Emily in Paris. Like,
yes.
Although I have to say, it's my guilty pleasure. Emily in Paris is just like having, I don't know, just eating one massive chocolate bar at once. Whenever it comes out, I just watch the whole series. I'm ashamed to admit it, but there it is.
Honestly, mate, I totally agree. I love Emily in Paris, but this was a little bit less. I mean, the whole thing is obviously a bit superficial and fun and frothy. It's based on a book, a teenage book. But it was just really nice watching this experience of Paris, and it made me think, like, am I too old to move to Paris? And
Never.
Awesome. Shall we finish up?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, thank you so much for listening to us today. We hope you enjoyed it. We are going to aim to do this monthly, have a little Kaffee+Kuchen Catchup with you. And yeah, share if you have any questions or feedback. Just leave a comment and let us know.
Thank you. See you next time.